We thought about it a lot.
Is the only way you can ever get your virginity back.
I think that no one was listening to you because everyone was trying to calculate how much money you make every year.
And when I pulled their credit, all of these credit cards came up that the wife wasn't aware of that were being sent to a P.O. box.
You get to call me when you're ready to get ready because we also need to plan. We thought about it a lot and we decided to change the content style a little bit and decided to do an interview. I thought about who will be the person, who will be my first interviewer, and I couldn't think about more serious person than David with Movement Mortgage. So that's why I reached out to him, and he was very kind to agree to this and join us today. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
And throughout this video, I will be giving some answers that are very short, very video friendly. I feel like I'm a little bit of a caged tiger because I'm so passionate about this industry and I can talk about all these things all day long. But if these short answers aren't enough for you, please reach out to Tarlan or myself.
Thank you so much, David, for coming. David has over 20 years of experience in lending industry, and if you're looking for fact-based answers, this is your guy.
Thank you.
Sorry.
He's on.
How do you determine borrower's eligibility for the loan?
Great question. There's a couple things. The first and foremost is credit score. So you need a certain minimum credit score depending on the type of loan. But for conventional, it's a 620 or higher. For FHA, the FHA actually starts at 500, but some lenders have an overlay usually at 580. So 580 or above for FHA or VA, 620 for conventional. We also look at their debt to income, which basically is what percentage is all their debt relative to their gross monthly income. We also look at their cash in terms of down payment and closing costs, where is it coming from? And then we just look at their consistency of their employment. How long have they been employed? Have they have a steady job history? Typically you want to see about 2 years or more in a history of a job, but not always. We can also use things like college transcripts for job history as well.
David, there are three main types of the loan: conventional, FHA, and VA. What's the difference between VA and FHA loans?
So a VA loan is for veterans, either active duty or a veteran of the military, and you have 0% down. You could buy a house literally with no money down up to about 1.5 million.
Oh.
FHA stands for Federal Housing Authority. You don't have to be a first-time home buyer, and the minimum down payment is 3.5%.
That's amazing. 3.5%.
It's a great loan.
David, what is the lowest down payment someone can make on conventional loans when they qualify?
A first-time home buyer can do a 3% down payment, otherwise it's 5% down payment.
Wow, that's great. How interest rates affect your monthly payments?
Well, if the interest rate is higher, your monthly payment's going to be higher. So as interest rates go up, your debt to income is going to be higher as well, so you would qualify for a lower.
David, what is the funniest reason someone got denied on the loan application when they were trying to purchase a home?
It was actually one of my first loans I ever did in my career, and I went out to these people's houses and I sat at their kitchen table to do the mortgage qualification, and when I pulled their credit, all of these credit cards came up that the wife wasn't aware of that were being sent to a P.O. box. So it turns out that the husband was having an affair on the wife, and she had just figured it out while I was there. So needless to say, I had to exit the house quickly.
Wow. What are the most common mistakes people make during the loan application process?
The most common one is that they go out and they start to buy furniture before the house is closed and put it on their credit cards, or they go out and buy a car, or they move some money around unnecessarily.
Wow. That's crazy. So that's for you to know. So you don't do this stuff when you're buying a home. David, what is the typical time frame from the moment we start the pre-approval process to the moment we get approved?
So it takes about 24 hours or less to get the pre-approval done, and then once everything is submitted to the underwriter, it takes another 24 hours to get the actual approval, and then typically we close between 21 and 30 days.
David, how do you and your team normally communicate with your clients throughout the application process and the loan process itself?
In terms of the method, I ask them up front, do they want to be phone calls, emailed, or texts? And then I make sure that I'm proactively reaching out to them every couple of days at a minimum. And of course, I always tell them, if I'm awake and my phone is within 5 feet of me, I will answer the phone.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. This is what you want your lender to be. David, what's the average fee lender charges on any loan?
It's about $1,200 per file.
That's great. And how many families you and your team help every year on average?
About 150 families per year.
Wonderful. And David, who's considered a first-time home buyer?
If you haven't owned a home in the last 3 years, you're considered a first-time home buyer.
I think that no one was listening to you because everyone was trying to calculate how much money you make every year. So the first-time home buyer is considered someone who didn't own a home for the past 3 years. And the best way to...
Yes, home ownership is the only way you can ever get your virginity back. Meaning, if you haven't owned a home in the last 3 years, you're a first-time home buyer again.
David, how you and your team make sure that the loan process runs smoothly?
Well, every person on my team has a certain role in the process. And again, I'm reaching out to my clients every couple of days proactively and also talking to my teammates and my staff every single day. We're looking at the pipeline, making sure everybody's files are moving quickly through the process as fast and as efficient as possible.
Yeah, this is what you really want as a real estate agent. I truly appreciate it. And this is very, very important. Best advice for someone who is getting ready to purchase a real estate.
So the big three of real estate and getting qualified are down payment, credit, and income. So you want to make sure you're saving money for a down payment, you want to make sure your credit is getting right, and you want to make sure that the income is where it needs to be in order to get that approval for the house you want.
Wonderful. And don't forget to call me when you're ready to get ready, because we also need to plan.